Hi there. Welcome to This is the Amazing. This is She Amazing. This is Lorna.
I'm
And this
Marianne.
is Marianne. Today we're going to talk about girls' trips. Um,
Ooh,
I
I
think
can't
that
wait
is
for
like
this, Lorna,
the best. As you
because
know, I,
Lorna has been on a million.
I am an expert girls' trip girl. But mainly I have three girlfriends that I have gone on 17 girls' trips with.
Oh my goodness.
Now that's amazing. That you
That
can have
is
four
amazing.
women for 17 years.
Every year for 17 years.
Every year for 17 years. We have not missed a year.
So you met when?
My oldest son Michael was in second grade.
Okay. So for 17 years, you've been going on trips, and you're kind of one of the two that's the organizer, and then
Yes,
two that are not organizers. Is that right?
exactly.
Tell us about that. How do you set it up?
So it just has kind of happened by default. Alice and I know that we're the organizers, and we will tell the other two how much money they've got to pitch in, how much airline tickets are, where the hotel is. And we usually will do like kind of like figure out what there is to do. The other two like hop on the airplane, pay their money, and then we go.
And do what they're told.
And we kind of have, I mean, you know me, I'm like a big type A personality. I like a plan. One thing that has really been for me is I go usually like my family will say we go on vacation, and a vacation with mom is not a vacation because I have like so much to do because I'm like, we're going to be there. We don't know we're coming back. We're going to see everything. So it's not really a vacation. But I learned with them is I couldn't do that. I can't boss them around, especially the first time we went on a trip. We didn't really know each other that well. And so I was like, I'm just going to be like, I'm going to toe the line and I was going to go with the flow. I'm going to go with the flow.
You're
And like,
such a go with the flow type.
so the first time the first thing I went with the flow was when we started going is I was not a beer drinker. Alice and I were not beer drinkers. Laura was an expert beer drinker. so we went to order, and I was like, I don't really want to order a beer, but beer is typically less expensive than a cocktail or a glass of wine. So I was like, well, I'm not really sure how we're gonna like split the bill because that's always a thing also when you go on these trips is how are you splitting things and how much, again, people can afford different. Oftentimes you may not, some may have more disposable income than others. So we were always like really cognizant. And at that time we were young moms and stay at home, and we didn't, except for our friend Laura, who's a doctor. So she had a little more disposable income than the rest of us at the time. But it was just so I just drank beer because I'm like, I don't really like it, but I'm not gonna be like the pain to now like order something that's a lot more expensive and then that become an issue. So that's a lot of like what we, the way we kind of work. We're very, very different. But I think the big thing is that we kind of go with the flow. We know what each of us likes and doesn't, and we just go with it.
Well, you know what, because you and I have been talking about with the Isn't She Amazing community. We want to be able to plan girls' trips. We want to be able to have retreats. We want to be able to have speakers. We want to go to different parts of the world, different parts of the country, and you started out small with just a group of women that you get along with, because not everybody's a good traveling companion.
Exactly.
So part of what you're telling us is you think to be a good travel companion, you have to be a little bit flexible.
Absolutely.
You have to be a little cognizant is that everybody doesn't do things like you.
Right.
You can't be too bossy.
That's number one.
Number one. Okay. But tell us
so
about
that is really hard when you're bossy. I'm an oldest child, so I by nature am bossy.
You're just the responsible one. That's all. Not bossy, just
That's a good way
responsible.
to put it. I like that word better than bossy.
But what was funny when we started talking about, so Lorna, what are the trips you like and stuff? Let me see if I did write down. You said your favorite ones were like Savannah, Georgia, Richmond, Virginia, and Memphis, Tennessee. And I thought, she just got back from Iceland and she's telling me I had a great time in Richmond. So my question is, what you did have a good time in Iceland though?
A wonderful time in Iceland. That was like that was like our big trip.
Okay.
That was the biggest trip we've ever done and the longest that we've gone off together.
Oh, is that right? It's usually a weekend-ish.
Our goal, the rule, because I do like rules also.
Because Lorna makes rules.
Make rules, have plan, and I'm bossy. But yeah, it was. But I own all of that. So I no, the rule was because when we first started, we only had a limited time because we are young kids and we were leaving our kids with our husbands. So the rule was we could not check a bag. We would leave, we would try and get like a 6:30 a.m. flight out on Friday morning. And then we would fly back Sunday night. But you couldn't check a bag because the deal was as soon as we got off that airplane, it was time to have fun. We were not wasting any time.
Right. Oh, that's great thinking. That's great thinking.
And but it's funny, like Alice, so this goes back to like Alice and I then pack like more stuff than you can even imagine. And Laura has like the smallest bag. And we're like, but she always has like everything. And we're going, we didn't bring that. Like we didn't think to bring, like, where did you put those shoes, get those shoes in there? Like we didn't bring those kind of shoes. Would have been a good idea. But we have all kinds of other stuff that obviously we never use.
Well, so tell us then, what makes a trip fun? So like, why was Richmond, Virginia fun? And that was one of your first responses because you've been to 17 places with these women.
Right.
Richmond, you said Las Vegas was the worst, right?
That was probably one of our least favorite trips.
Least favorite. Okay.
We had
so
fun,
tell us, what makes a good trip? What makes a bad trip?
I think it's that whole flexibility and like expectation. Like we went to Richmond because we were nearing the end of the year. And I was the one that was like, we just can't get it together. And they were like, no, if we skip a year, that's beginning of it unraveling. We can't.
Bad juju.
So we are going to go. So we could go the first weekend in December. And we were like, and we're just going to hop in the car. Laura owns a second home in Tappahannock by the river. So she said, why don't we just leave on Friday? We'll drive to the river house. We'll have dinner. And then we'll just get up in the morning and go to Richmond. Cause we're just like going to like check off. We're really like, we're just kind of killing the weekend. Like we're just going to kill some time together to say we spend the weekend together. So we do that. We get to Richmond. There was like this huge Christmas parade. We have like no plans. We're just going to kind of go wing it. And I think we had zero expectation. Like we're just going to do it.
But the important thing was that you were together.
Important thing was we were together. And so that was really the important thing. Like it wasn't
together,
about anything else.
No obligations, no agenda. Not that an agenda is bad because you have had agenda for other trips too.
Yeah.
But the most important thing is the community, the support.
And I think that is what, when you think about it, so you've got to be flexible with your community. You've got to be accepting of each other. And that's what makes it fun. And you have to be a little spontaneous and do something that you're not comfortable with. Like when we went to Memphis, I remember we were like, oh, we don't want to go to Memphis. And but Laura loves jazz or, loves that type of music. And so we're like, how bad could it be? Like we can do that for a weekend and it'll make her happy. And that's important to us. So we go and, we hop out of the cab and the cab driver tells us it's the most dangerous city in the country at the time and for us to be careful. So it's like, great, great. Now this is how we're going to do. But there were like, Laura had even printed like our girls' t-shirts, girls' weekend t-shirts. And we were like, well, we'll just wear these like on the plane until we get to the hotel and then change. But the one thing we've also learned, especially as we've gotten older, is if we go back to the hotel, we don't want to leave. And so we're like, we can make sure we eat at some point and make sure that we are ready to like just stay out, because if we're getting tired and we go back, we'll talk ourselves into not going out. So we just keep going. So that with the girls' t-shirts, and of course Alice and I had all these like cute outfits to wear, and we wore those girls' trip t-shirts like till 3 o'clock in the morning. We were coming back with these t-shirts.
And then
And the one thing that we learned to do is we learned to love fried pickles. We had never heard of fried pickles. So we were there. We were like, that sounds terrible. But we like, now we go, we're like, have you had a good fried pickle anywhere?
really.
So
So
that's
it's
the other thing is like, also use it as the opportunity to try something new or that you wouldn't do, and just be open to it. And you'll find that, you know, you end up like having a new favorite appetizer or
yeah.
a memory. And even like we always joke that as much fun as we have on the trip,
Mhm.
we think that we have more fun like telling the stories to each other of, remember when we
After the trip, you mean?
after the trip, our husbands are so sick of hearing the remember when we stories, but it is like it just keeps us together. I think that community and those memories that we've built together and that time that we spent,
Yeah.
it's like so invaluable to us. And we want, like, that's what we've talked about, that, you know, we'd like to do some of this with Isn't She Amazing, is to have
Yes.
this forum and this place where women can feel like they have that community, and you can take a chance, or you can learn something different and just be open. Like, you just don't know what you're going to like, or what you're good at, or, you know, what you're interested in, if you don't just give yourself that chance.
So first of all, it's just to be together, because there's camaraderie that's really
Mhm.
important. To be adventurous, to be spontaneous and flexible, and you learn something new about maybe a culture or a place or a food or whatever. But it's also, then you create these memories that keep you together and make you more cohesive as a group. And then you do that every year, and so it really has bonded your friendship together. And you started out, you said, not really knowing each other very well. I
We
mean,
did not know each
you
other
were
very well. I
a
had
bunch of
such a
soccer
great
moms.
no, we were Boy Scout moms.
Boy
We
Scout
had
moms,
been a Boy
okay.
Scout, and our boys would go, and every Thursday night we'd be there together. And I remember the first one, our friend that Len had buddy passes on United, and she's like, "Do you want to come?" And we're like, "Well, what are we gonna do? Like, we really don't know each other that well." But we're like, "What the heck? It's like a weekend, really." And you're in New York City. That was our first trip.
Uh-huh.
How bad could it be? Like, it can't be bad. It can only be fun. And after we had so much fun, that was like, we've got to do this next year. And there it began.
Oh, that's awesome. So then what did make the Las Vegas trip less fun? What was it about
It was
it
probably our furthest trip that we went. It was
at
the
that point?
furthest at that point. It was just like too much, like all the noise, you know, like all the, I don't know, it was just, I don't know, we were just very, I don't know, off. I mean, we did a lot, but it was just, I think it was just too much. I mean, we actually ended up renting a car on the last
Oh,
day we were there. We
went
went to
out of
Hoover
town.
Dam. You know, we drove to Hoover Dam, and we went to like, you know, to watch the sunset, and because we were like, we're done. We're done here.
Oh, okay.
But I mean, we had fun, but it was, like I said, it was not,
Not as
because
memorable.
we typically have like, we get there Friday, we kind of get the bearing of the city that we're in, and Saturday we usually do something big. We go to like a really nice restaurant, or we go to a show, or we just do something. And we always go to, like, Len loves to see how, like, historic houses, so we'll go do a tour of a house if there's one nearby.
Mhm.
We always go to museums. I mean, we do cultural, we also have a lot of fun. But we kind of balance. We do, you know, so it's kind of like we pack as much as we can. And we get a feel of the city, and then we do fun stuff.
Wow. So have you talked about what you're going to do next year?
Boston's our
Oh,
trip.
really? And what is it that draws you to Boston?
We just haven't been up that part of the country, and so we're going to do a lot of our trips are around Halloween, because that the fall is it was always easier for the four of us to get away when our kids were younger, and we've kind of kept that the same. So we thought we'd go to Boston and then go up to Salem to see the witch trials, where the witch trials were. So I mean, that's all. We've talked about going to Boston for years and we haven't. So we're like, okay, that's our trip. Maybe. And then for our 20th year, we want to plan like something like bigger.
Oh, geez.
We have 3 years still till that.
Okay, so you got some time to plan.
Yeah.
But it sounds really wonderful, and it doesn't sound like you don't have to go forever. You don't have to go for 2 weeks. You don't have to take a long time off. You can take 3 days, maybe 5 days. That was what your Iceland trip was, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
And you build your community, you make memories, you learn stuff, you stretch yourself. You don't let yourself go to bed early. That would be a big thing.
Yeah, we never do that. That is stretching. We never go to bed early.
But that sounds amazing, and it's exactly what we've been talking about for our community here. And isn't she amazing? We want to plan really good trips. So for our audience, what we want our audience to do is post in the chat, in the comments section below this video, where you would like to go, where you have been that it was really fabulous, and things that you might want to comment on to what we've been discussing. We really want to hear what you think.
Right.
And we would like your opinion, because of course we have our opinions, and what that's about. Everybody has an opinion. We just want to know where you really want to go. And we want to start planning those trips. And
absolutely. I think it'll be like so much fun and it is really all about the community. You gotta have your people.
Yeah. But thank you for sharing that. It's just really,
thank you for asking me about it.
Yeah. So yeah, post your comments in the thing. Is there anything else you want to tell us before we close up, Lorna, about girls' trips? Something we should maybe be careful about or thoughtful about, or
I think it's just being considerate and just understanding what's important to the other person and be willing to do some of that. I'll just say real quickly, I had when we went to Savannah, one of the excursions there, or the activities I planned was a cooking class, and the other 3 were like,
you do
not want to take a cooking class. And I was like, this is going to be fun. And there were and that is one of our most memorable experiences. We loved it. But it goes to show, it's going out of your comfort zone. And I think that is what, that's what we want to encourage women to do, is sometimes you have to take that step or take that leap. And it's in everything you do, whether it's, what do I want to be when I grow up, or what do I want to do to enjoy this? And also, like, I think the big thing for me has been just enjoy it. Like 3 days, you can't see everything in the city, but just savor and enjoy what you see. That has been a tremendous lesson for me, is there's so much more we could have done, or we could do. And sometimes if we're just sitting down and having a beer and eating salsa and chips and laughing, that's okay.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean that you have to be doing something. So it's kind of that, like, doing and being is just like be in the moment. And it's so important.
Thank you for sharing that. Because when I had moved to Japan and didn't know anybody, of course, when I got there, one of the other expat wives who I had never met before said to me, just say yes. Because she said the time goes really, really quickly. You lose opportunities you don't take.
Right.
And it sounds like that's what you and your girlfriends do. It's just, you just say, yes, we're going. If you don't know where we're going.
That's exactly.
Yeah. Okay, so you guys just say yes.
And tell us where you'd like to go.
That's right. So thanks for joining our Isn't She Amazing podcast, and we'll see you again soon.